A revolution is an overthrow or repudiation and the thorough replacement of an established government or political system by the people governed. The goals of the American Revolution were to break free of British rule and to form a new nation in America. These significant events are what made our country what it is today and created a building block for other nations to follow. In 1763, a treaty was signed between England and France to end the French and Indian War, which was a turning point for colonists. The colonists were asked to pay for the war, which they did not have any part in, causing them to rebel. The Proclamation Act was then formed in 1763. This line was to prohibit Indians from moving east and colonists moving west. At the same time, George Grenville, the British treasurer, needed to pay off debt. He installed the Sugar Act of 1764. The Sugar Act's purpose was to regulate colonial trade in order to obtain colonist money or tax dollars. This led to the Stamp Act in 1765. The Stamp Act took place in March of 1765. The British then put taxes on everyday items, even if they were not imported. In order to show you paid the tax, specially stamped paper was needed. If you did not have the stamp, your cargo was to be seized and you would be tried in court. Colonists thought that if all these new policies continued, there would be no more British colonies in America. They protested against British tyranny, and that is when the Declaratory Acts were installed. Leaders in England believed that they did not have enough power over the colonies, so they created the Declaratory Act, saying that they had the authority to pass any laws over the colonists. However, Great Britain still wanted money from the colonies. Charles Townshend had a new plan to get rid of stamp tax and put taxes on everyday items. This angered colonists even more. Tax on items such as lead, glass, paper, paint, and most importantly tea led to the Non-Importation Agreement, or refused to buy and import British goods. Because of the sudden rebel, British troops were sent to Boston. Sam Adams, a Bostonian and master of propaganda, organized mob attacks on British signs of authorities. This included tar and feathers and even snowballs. This constant annoyance by the colonists caused British soldiers to take force, and in March of 1770, 5 colonists were killed. This is known as the Boston Massacre. The colonists were now ready to work together. The British East India Company was not doing well financially. East India Company decided to sell directly to colonists without paying any duty to England, while still collecting tax from America. Colonial merchants dressed up as Indians and poured all the tea into the ocean, creating the biggest tea party in history. Finally, big battles with England were over. 12 colonies sent delegates to Philadelphia. For the first time, the colonies had formed what was known as the First Continental Congress. The political group then had to start to build an army or navy, because the Continental Congress was not run by England. The delegates in the Continental Congress had varied views. Some were conservative, and all some wanted was just independence. However, Sam Adams led them on a very radical path. They also dealt with the relationship with Parliament. They created the Laws of Nature, which stated that England could not tax colonist goods. This was the first successful stance taken against Great Britain. After the First Continental Congress took place, some Americans still wanted to find their way back into the empire. Because of Britain's main forces in Massachusetts, colonists in Massachusetts started to gather military supplies. This shows the colonists' need for self-government and freedom from England. This was the official start of the battles of Lexington and Concord. By the time of the Second Continental Congress, colonists were standing up for themselves and demanding freedom. They created the Continental Army, led by George Washington. The colonists had finally stood up for their rights and formed a sturdy government. On January 15, 1776, Common Sense, a pamphlet, was written to show colonists to stop recognizing the royal brute. Thomas Paine was the writer of this book. He was asked to go to America by Ben Franklin to help the cause of freedom. Some say he was responsible for the writing of the Declaration of Independence. In May of 1776, Congress aided every colony to form their own rightful governments. No longer was American freedom and independence undefined, it was becoming well known. The Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson and signed by 56 different people. They all truly believed in the Revolution. Although it was a rocky journey, the colonists had finally reached their goals. They were free of British rule and successfully created a government, army, and navy. Each specific event played a great role and was a key aspect in making our nation what it is today. The colonies most definitely paved the way for revolutions all around the world. They lived up to their potential: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.